walking through a ghost town. Y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page, but we still read that book, and we still run that race. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Hey, red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to the morning show. I'm your host, Mr. William Lee Morgan, for today. Also got my partner in crime with me, my man Mo. Mo, what's going on with you this morning?
I'm doing great on a wonderful Thursday. Appreciate everybody for showing up with me and you this morning.
Yes. Good to be here. Got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna go right to basketball very quickly. A couple of things I did want to go ahead and get on out there. This one kind of hurt your boy a little bit, but I get it. Derrick Rose announces his retirement today. After 16 years in the league. Man,
that's tough. And time flies. Like, you blink and you realize it's been 16 years since he was a rookie in the NBA, winning Rookie of the Year. There's been some explosive, exciting players throughout the history of the NBA, especially at the guard spot. And I know a lot of people like to compare these two guys, he and Russell Westbrook. Yes, as an athlete, Russell Westbrook is as good an athlete as Derrick Rose, but as a basketball player, the way Derrick Rose could weave between defenders, his change of direction, William, his stop and go, like, I've never seen another point guard that can do it that way with that kind of athleticism. He looked like Barry Sanders on a basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he looked like. The way he could weave in and out, finish through contact, explode over bigger players. He's one of those players, Will, I don't know if you feel this way, that you look at his career and you go, if not for the injury that changed everything, what are we talking about? We're talking about maybe a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, he was on course to be one of those dudes, right?
Good morning, man. How you doing? Thanks for coming to the stream. And I do agree with you on that. I completely blame Tom Thibodeau for what happened to him. I didn't understand his philosophy for leaving him in that game when he got hurt.
Well, he's always had his philosophy with his starters. You playing 40 plus minutes, right? Like, I remember that game. I believe it was against the Knicks.
It was against the Knicks. Yep.
Which is weird when you think about it, because turn around and Tom Thibodeau's the coach of the Knicks, and what is he doing? Playing Jalen Brunson too many minutes. But I digress. It was a blowout game against the Knicks, and you're wondering why he was still in there. And I can't even watch that play anymore. It's like sometimes people want to review it. I can't watch that play. Because he was so fun to watch. He was so electric. Like, and I was happy for him, because obviously when he came back from the injury, he wasn't the same player.
Mm-mm.
And eventually he moved on, bounced around a little bit. I remember when people were saying at one point he was done. And I was saying I thought he could play. I thought he could still play. He would just have to reinvent himself in a different role. And he did that. He went to Minnesota. I think he was right in the running for Sixth Man of the Year. Like, he reinvented himself, and he added a 3-point shot to his game to extend his career. I feel I'm disappointed, because I wanted his career to end in a different way. You and I talked about it yesterday. We were like, hey, what if Chicago picks him up and they just sign him for a day so he can turn around and retire as a Bull, or even pick him up and bring him in as a backup? I thought something like that was possible, and it looks like we're not going to get that. So yeah, I'm disappointed, because a player like him, Rookie of the Year, spectacular, amazing, youngest winner of the MVP award. And remember, look at some of those playoffs games. He was a monster in the playoffs as well.
He was.
And just like that, it's over. And I just don't like the way it ended. But I wish him well going forward, whatever he chooses to get into beyond his playing years.
Yeah, me too. I don't know what the next thing. I don't know what the next thing down the road is for him, but I wish him the best of luck. Like I said, it's really disappointing. We got a question here. Do you think the Bulls should retire number 1 for Rose? You could say he's the biggest second star in Chicago after MJ.
I'll say this: when the Jordan Bulls left, when that was done, there was a long, and you noticed, well, there was a long kind of period where you had some pretty good players there, but Rose was the first guy that when he came along that kind of connected the dots between the Rose and the Jordan years, right? He was that big a star. You had some pretty good players there, but he was that elite. He was that spectacular.
Yes.
I know it's a short sample size, but the 3 years, it was actually more than 3 years, but I'm talking about the 3 years where he was healthy. What you got from him, yeah, I think you can retire his jersey. I don't have no problem with the Bulls doing something like that at all. Look,
Me neither.
how many teams have retired great players' jerseys who had 2 great seasons and then their careers were shortened by an injury? Like think about this. In the city of Chicago, Gale Sayers is immortalized, right?
Yes.
One of the great football players of all time, but he only actually had 2 great seasons in the NFL before the injury kind of robbed him of what was the rest of his career, but he's immortalized. If he can be immortalized, you can absolutely retire Derrick Rose jersey, and I think that would be a great move for the Bulls and a great honor for D Rose.
Yes, I do agree. Let me go the other route. The other piece of news this morning. It looks like that the Grizzlies plan on retiring Tony Allen's number 9 jersey. Let me see. When was this date? Saturday, March 15th. FedEx Forum following the game against the Miami Heat. It looks like they're going to retire Tony Allen's jersey. You remember Tony Allen, don't you?
Lockdown defender, part of that grit and grind. Remember they called it, what did they call it? What they called the grindhouse with the Grizzlies with Marc Gasol, Zebo, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen. Yeah, look. And Tony Allen was a key piece on that Boston Celtics championship team as well. So
he was.
Yeah, if they want to retire his number, like he made multiple All NBA defensive teams while he was a member of the Grizzlies. I'm not going to tell an organization who they should and shouldn't retire their numbers. I think Tony Allen was a really good player. I don't know if he was a good enough player to retire his number. I mean, but if they want to do it, it's cool. It makes sense to me to retire Zach Randolph's number. It makes sense to me to retire Marc Gasol's number. You could even make a case go back. It might make sense to retire Paul Gasol's number.
Yeah.
I don't know about Tony Allen, but much respect to Tony Allen.
Staying in the NBA, I'm gonna ask a question that some might find egregious, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Particularly when you go back and look at he played earlier in the season. Can Alex Starr kind of jumpstart the Washington Wizards?
Look, I know we say we don't make a lot of Summer League, right? Summer League is not about who scores the most.
Right.
It's really Summer League is about showing you who can't play, right? Who can't play. The guys where you're like, thanks for being part of the team, but we're gonna move on. What I saw from Alex Sarr in the Summer League, he needed to jumpstart himself before he jumpstart the team. Like he didn't look he looked slow. He looked like he wasn't prepared for the speed of the NBA game. He looked soft. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because he is a rookie.
Yes.
And he's still developing. What I will say is that organization, they're not one of the better organizations in the NBA. That organization finds a way to destroy young, talented players' lives. So I wish him all the best. And he will have 82 games, barring an injury, to develop over the course of the season. And I think, Will, he's more of one of those project guys, right? Like you don't expect Sarr to come out going 20-10. I think he's one of those guys. If he does get into his bag, if he does become a gym rat, he's going to be one of those guys that gets a little bit better year by year.
Right.
And that's okay because it's not like the Wizards are going to be winning a lot of games anyway.
All right, let's go ahead and move on over to the WNBA. A lot of people are going to be upset with me about bringing this up as their girl is gone. But the Sun finished off Caitlin Clark in the Fever, and the Leafs close out the Mercury to advance to the WNBA semifinals. So right now we are looking at game one starting September 29th, the New York Liberty versus the Las Vegas Aces, and the Minnesota Lynx versus the Connecticut Sun. That'll be game one that starts on the 29th as well. What do you think about the semifinal? Who wins? Who loses?
Like I said before, the Liberty have been the best team all year throughout the season.
Yep.
But the Aces are the defending champs. And I know the Liberty are favored, but I'm going to ride with the champs till somebody knocks the champs out.
I feel you on that. I can agree.
What about the Lynx? Man, I'm gonna go with the Lynx. Go with the Lynx. I think the Lynx. I like what their bigs can do. They can clamp down on D when they need to. So I'm rolling with the Lynx. And let me just mark this about Caitlin Clark. That team looked awful the first month of the season, and for them to turn around and go in a playoff round, it's pretty impressive. I'm gonna give her something. Right, and I'm gonna give her flowers because we talk a lot about her scoring, but she set a WNBA assist record for a season. Like I actually watched the game last night. She threw some passes that were Magic Johnson, LeBron like dimes. Like when the players she threw the pass to, they weren't open. She threw them open. Like she passed that well. Like her court vision is amazing. Like I don't know if she's ever going to lead the WNBA in scoring, but I can see her leading the WNBA in assists for many, many years because of her court vision.
Now, I did want to ask this question as well because it sort of kind of there's a big controversy. And Gene brings it up from time to time. Yes, I think Caitlin Clark is better than Angel Reese, but I still think Angel Reese does have a place in the league. I think she has a place in the league as more as a glue girl that can go out there, get your rebounds, get your tough buckets and things like that. Do you agree with that assessment about Angel Reese?
I think she could be a star. I think she could be more than a glue girl because her game is still developing. Like she's already a naturally gifted rebounder, and rebounding is a lot about instinct and effort. Her motor is insane. What she's got to get better at is finishing around the basket better. Maybe using her left more, but I think she's going to be a star. I don't know if she's going to be a superstar, but she's going to be a star in the WNBA. I don't know if she's going to reach the heights that maybe Caitlin Clark can, but again, I want to remind people, she's a post player. She makes her money in the restricted area on both sides of the floor. Caitlin Clark is a point guard. They're two completely different positions, and they have two completely different sets of skills. So I think Angel Reese is going to have a terrific career. I think she's just starting out. I actually think this rookie class, is going to be the rookie class that elevates the WNBA even more.
I think so too. And then you get Cameron Brink coming back next year. I figure that's going to be a huge boost for the Sparks. And we ain't even talked about Juju. We ain't even talked about Juju yet. Oh my goodness.
She's a bad girl. Yeah. See, that's what I keep telling people. I get it because of what they did in college. The perception, everybody wants the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark to be a rivalry. The rivalry is going to be Caitlin Clark and Juju.
Yep.
Juju and they will match up more because they both play on the perimeter. That's the matchup. That's going to be that right there. That's going to be box office.
Juju is nice, boy. If I haven't seen Juju, boy, y'all better go check that girl out.
She got a bag. She can roll.
Yes, she can. All right, let's go ahead hit into a topic that we talked about yesterday at the end of the show. Best athlete in video games.
That's the classic. Yeah.
And Mo, I'm gonna let you take this one. Who are some of the guys you picked?
So I've got a list. I want to give an honorable mention. These are the ones that didn't make my list, but you might recognize some of these. Vince Young and Reggie Bush from NCAA 06. If you remember when Vince Young won the national championship when they beat USC, but when they put him into a video game with his skill set and his speed, he was like the best, unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. You're going to appreciate this one, Will. Tom Chambers from the old Lakers versus Celtics game in Sega. Tom Chambers would get to a certain spot on the floor and dunk from the 3-point line. He'd do a triple pump, and you couldn't stop that play. He'd just get there over and over again. And this dude's flying through the air from the 3-point line. Marshall Faulk from Madden 03. Faulk from Madden 03, unstoppable. I mean, I used him more as a receiver than I did a running back. He was a beast. Another honorable mention, Walter Payton from the original Tecmo Bowl.
Facts.
Walter, he could have been number one, except for the guy that is number one. But I've got Walter Payton honorable mention. Then I get to my top 10. I got LeBron, 2K14 LeBron, 2K14 LeBron. I mean, I'm banging on bigs. I'm posting people like they did this. I think based off of obviously what he did in the 2013 season, unguardable. Number 9, Michael Jordan in 2K11. He looked like Michael Jordan throughout the 90s. Steph Curry in NBA 2K16. The man wouldn't miss. I mean, I'm pulling up from 40 on a regular, and it's water. Number 7, Allen Iverson from 2K3. I'm crossing people up left and right, finishing up the rim over bigs, lightning quick in the open floor, unguardable. I've got Barry Sanders in Madden 98. That was a good one. I've got Randy Moss, NFL 2K3. He looked just like Randy Moss on Minnesota / with the Patriots. Just a freak athlete. Number 3 on my list, Mike Tyson Punch-Out. Everybody ever played Mike Tyson Punch-Out? The little guy was sitting there. That's the one. And number 2, Michael Vick, Madden 03, 04. I think it's 04. Madden 04. Just dominant. You call any pass play, and you're not really looking to pass. But if you're playing against another person, because Michael Vick was so fast, you had to bring somebody up. And then I'm throwing the football. Like I think one season, Algie Crumpler had 1,900 receiving yards. He never had that much probably in his whole career. And then number 1, of course, Tecmo Bowl. To me, this is the greatest video game athlete of all time. It's Bo Jackson on Tecmo Bowl. If you've ever played Tecmo Bowl and you play with Bo Jackson, you literally can lap the field and run a 400-yard touchdown. That's how dominant Bo Jackson was.
I got a couple of guys that I looked at last night. Got my list right here. I don't know if anybody played backyard baseball from back in the day.
That's a good one. Yeah.
You ain't gonna disrespect my boy Pablo Sanchez.
That's a good one.
You ain't gonna disrespect my boy. No. Pedro Savakovic from NBA Ballers.
That's a good one.
This dude, man, I'm looking at 2 point. And back then, they rated it for about what shot the players in the game took.
Right.
88 from 2-point short range, 2-point mid range 90, 3-pointers at 90. He kind of sucked at dunking at 58, but everything else he did well. I
like that one.
Tiger Woods from Tiger Woods Golf.
I never played that one. I've seen it, but I've never actually played it. But
yeah,
I got Magic Tiger's a beast.
And you already said my number 1 guy, Bo Jackson from Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna throw one more in there. NBA. If you ever played NBA Live 2000, Tim Duncan is on the cover. Obviously, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm playing with the Lakers.
Right.
Most people assume you got Kobe and Shaq. That's why you're dominant. Yes, they're Kobe and Shaq, but the most dominant player on the Lakers was Glenn Rice. I remember Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice was a 95 from 3. I'm not throwing it to Shaq. I'm throwing it to Glenn Rice, covered or not, and I'm raising up. And you know when he hits, the guy goes 3. I'm like, yes. Glenn Rice was my go-to guy. He was so good that Shaq was his number 2. Kobe was number 3 on that team.
How about Larry Bird from NBA 2K3?
Oh, that's a beast. Yeah, I remember that one. Like Larry Bird couldn't miss. They were trying to compensate for how good a shooter he was. I think they overcompensated.
Yeah, because he was hitting everything left and right.
And he was posting people up at will. Which, look, by the way, Bird was a great player, so maybe they got it right.
Yeah, they could have got it right. Devin Hester from Madden 2008, 2009.
Oh, that's another one. Look,
boy,
I only played with Chicago once. but I would let the computer score so they could kick the ball off to me. I wanted to be Devin Hester, or I couldn't wait to shut them down and they punt the ball to me and be Devin Hester. Obviously, they played him on offense too. I would run a 9 route and I would just blast by the corner and the safety and still throw it up, and he'd run under it. So I totally get that.
I'm about to be completely egregious when I say this, particularly where he is now, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Sean Kemp from NBA Jam.
Wow. So NBA Jam actually was the basketball game. I think it came before
for saying that one.
It came before Tecmo and Live and all that. I remember. I think Sean, but you have to think about this. When we played NBA Jam, dudes was jumping up in the air like 40 feet in the air, doing triple salts, and remember the ball
he's
with
on fire.
Right, he's
on fire.
I think Sean Kemp was a great pick from NBA Jams. I like that.
Oh man. Tim Tebow from NCAA football, 2010.
First of all, Tebow was so tough to beat in that game because they made him really fast. Now he's got good speed, but they made him like fast and he trucked people. Your quarterback shouldn't be able to run over people like Jim Brown, but he could. Yep. Like he could do in that game easily. I could see somebody saying like, "Why isn't Tim Tebow top 10?" I get it, and I'm sure in a lot of people's boards he's in the top 10. So yeah, Tebow was a monster.
I gotta get this next player some love to all my fellow Boston, not fellow, I'm a Mets fan, but all the Boston Red Sox fans out there. David Ortiz, MLB 06, the show.
Okay, so I'm not a baseball guy, but I do play like baseball video games, right? I'm a casual Dodgers fan. I'm from Los Angeles, so if you're from Los Angeles, more times than not, you're rolling with the Dodgers, you're rolling with the Lakers. At one time, you had the Raiders and the Rams, but what I remember about that particular game, Ortiz hit with such power, and it looked like then that he was juicing in the video game. Like, I'm just saying, because if I'm not saying in real life, I'm just saying in the video world.
We don't see what happens when you turn the game off, y'all. Yeah. We don't see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing in the video world behind the scenes, but yeah, the man was unstoppable. There's no way that he should hit everything you throw at him. Like he was a power hitter, but they made him into a combination of Barry Bonds and Rod Carew.
Yeah. All right. Brett Favre, NFL Quarterback Club, 99.
That's another one. Yeah. And that's another. You know what? If you look throughout the video game, I guess, universe, that was a great one for Brett Favre, but you can make a case that almost in most Maddens, at least throughout his career, Peyton Manning might be the greatest video game quarterback ever.
Mm-hmm.
He might be. I mean, Tom Brady was lethal that year that him and Moss was putting up all those points and the Patriots were undefeated. That's a tough one too. I'm surprised nobody mentioned maybe Tom Brady from Madden that year.
Mm-hmm. And last one from my side, Adrian Peterson in NCAA football 2007.
And you know what? That should have been
right here somewhere.
That's a good one. That should have been a preview for us what he was going to do once he got to the league.
Oh yeah.
Because if he wasn't running you over, he was out running your cornerbacks to the corner of the end zone. AD was the most complete running back in football. He was, especially in his college days. Like he lived up. Some guys don't live up to the hype. I think he lived up to the hype and then some as a football player. Oh, one more. Let me throw one more in there.
Go ahead.
Eagles fans might be like, yeah, right. I'm telling you, in Madden 06, Donovan McNabb was a monster.
He was.
06. That's honorable mention. Donovan McNabb and T.O. were monsters in Madden 06.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, I did want to go ahead and bring up a little bit of professional wrestling, a little bit of WWE. That we do talk about from time to time. What are we thinking about this? Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns team up against the Bloodline. What are we thinking about that?
I remember Chris and I talked about this a while back that Roman Reigns made a comment that this was leading up to his match against Cody at WrestleMania. And the comment was, we're closer to the beginning than we are the end. And I think all this is deeply connected to a bigger storyline. I like the idea that they're going to team up, but you know how this works, right? And Roman should know how this works. At some point in that match, there's going to be a numbers game, and the numbers game is going to favor the bloodline. The question I have, and I'm asking you, Will, who comes running down when Cody and Roman are getting beat down? Because they're going to get beat down at some point. Who comes running down, or does anybody come running down to interfere?
Only people I could think of would be Owens and Orton. That's the only two people I can think of that's had some recent dealings with them. But those are the only two people I can think that will come and run down and save them.
I thought about those two first, but I'm thinking of the bigger story, and I'm wondering, does Jay and Jimmy come running down?
My only issue with that, though, your boy just won the IC title.
He did.
So if you do that, do you keep the IC belt on him or do you take it off?
Well, remember, this is part of a bigger storyline. Let's say Jay comes running down and he's the IC champ. I don't think he's going to lose it right away, but let's say at one point, though, Jay's fighting against what's old boy's name? Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu takes the IC championship from him. That wouldn't shock me at all.
No, me neither.
Jason Fatu is a monster. Like, as much as people want to hype up Von Breaker, Fatu's better. He's better. Yep. He can do more. He's just a more talented in-ring talent. Like, when you look at Von Breaker, explosive, terrific athlete, but I think he's more of I would say a faster, more agile Goldberg, right? Whereas Jacob Fatu can do everything imaginable in the ring at his size, and that's crazy. That's crazy to me. So I know I'm a fan of Jey Uso's. I'm sure you are. I was surprised to see him get the IC championship. I love it, and I hope he has a solid run. But I feel like in the bigger picture of this there you go. In the bigger picture of this bloodline feud, he's gonna lose it, and he's gonna lose it to another member of the bloodline, like maybe Jacob Fatu, maybe it's Solo or somebody of that nature.
My thing is this. First of all, shout out to Braun for putting over the vet. That's the first thing. Shout out to Braun for putting over the vet.
That was awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. He put the vet over. It's awesome to see. That's going to help him later on down the line. When you put the vet over, vets are going to start putting you over. So that's terrific. Now, and we know he's going to come back sooner rather than later. Where does The Rock fit in all this?
So this is where we start talking about the bigger pay-per-views, more importantly, WrestleMania. I can't predict this, but I do see this going some kind of way. At some point, Jimmy and Jay are going to become part of this feud. I don't know when, but they will. And then another member will become a part of it. But more importantly, when The Rock becomes a part of this feud, I think initially he's on Roman's side. But at some point, at a big pay-per-view, maybe it's WrestleMania, he's going to turn on Roman Reigns. He's going to turn. Yep, he's going to turn on Roman Reigns, and he's going to be in charge of the faction with Solo and the rest of the crew. That's what I think is going to happen, because we are going to eventually get, I think, Roman versus Rock. We're going to get that at some point. So I think that's what's going to happen. The bloodline's going to refracture. The Rock's going to become the head of the table for the current version of the bloodline, and that's just going to extend the story out.
Moving over.
Now, go ahead real quick. The best thing about Roman Reigns is, Will, you can agree with this, he's such a big star.
Yes.
You don't have to put a belt around his waist anytime soon.
No.
He's going to eventually be champion again, but you don't have to rush it. He's a big enough star to where he doesn't have to wear a belt, and he still carries a ton of heat.
And you've seen guys like that throughout history that had just never needed a world championship and still got over it. A perfect example, Roddy Piper never needed a world championship to get over. Never, ever. He was able to do it on his own. Jake the Snake Roberts, he never needed a world championship to get over either.
Undertaker, for the longest, you were like, how come Undertaker doesn't compete? He went for years without being a champion, but he was so hot. He had that much heat. You loved every matchup. Undertaker would be in main event matchups that weren't for titles.
And Undertaker understood the game, man. That's what makes him one of the GOATs, so one of the Mount Rushmore wrestlers, because he understood that he put Maven over, of all people. He put Maven over, but by putting Maven over, It actually helped him and his legacy.
It did, but in the end, Maven disappointed me.
He ain't do nothing with it.
He didn't do nothing with it.
He ain't do nothing with it.
He set him up for success with a huge push, and he didn't do nothing with it.
Not a doggone thing. But that wasn't Undertaker's fault, because Undertaker put him in that position.
Right.
He put him in that position. So yeah, Undertaker's definitely Mount Rushmore guy, definitely. Over in AEW, real quick, I had a problem with this. A lot of people didn't, because he's probably gonna be on his way out soon. I had a problem with Daniel Bryan winning the AEW title.
Oh, when he beat Strickland.
When he beat Sport. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had a problem with that. Again, another situation where the younger guy puts over the vet. But my issue in this case, Daniel, or he's had so many championship matches before this. And now you decide to put the bet on him now? It's just the timing of it to me, because we've seen him have world championship matches in AEW before and come up short. Why swerve?
Yeah, I kind of didn't understand that either, because isn't the way we've set up Daniel Bryan's career, and I'm talking about from WWE to where he is now, isn't he the guy that's more times than not, he's right there, but he comes up short, right? Like, but he builds up his legacy. His fan base loves him because he's the ultimate overachiever.
Right.
And so I thought Swerve, being the younger guy who was his run was young. It was early. I thought he was going to, I thought, okay, they're going to set him up to hold on to the belt for a minute. And they kind of did him a lot like WWE did Breaker. And like you said, maybe in the bigger picture down the road, Swerve will get some blessings and it'll set him up because he put over a vet. I just thought that Daniel Bryan's story and his highs of highs, I thought we saw that already. And AEW, in typical AEW fashion, they redo a lot of things that the WWE did like 10 years ago. They're always like 10 years behind.
Right. Are you buying the way Mercedes Moné is looking? Are you, because the thing to me with Mercedes Moné, and I said, far from me to ever agree with anything Eric Bischoff says, but my problem with Mercedes Moné is she had the same problem in WWE. She can't cut a promo to save her life.
She's not the best on the mic. Let's put it that way. She does have a big personality, and you can tell she's gifted in ring as a talent, right?
Yep.
But yeah, my thing with her is, and I'm surprised they haven't done this yet. You got to get her a female Paul Heyman, right? You got to get her one of those to where they run their mouth 95% of the time, and you throw in a few things the other 5%. Right. That's what she needs. She seems like she would be gifted on the mic, but she just isn't. Like you said, she can't cut a promo. So that's on Tony Khan and them, though. If you want her to be the star that she should be, you got to set her up for success. Get her an advocate that's gifted on the mic and let them do all the talking.
And see, instead of giving her an advocate who can speak up the mic, and I love Camille. Do not get me wrong. I love Camille since she was in NWA, that little fledgling organization now. But I've loved her, Camille, since she was in NWA, and I love seeing her. But to me, that's the last thing Mercedes Moné needs is a bodyguard.
Yeah, not a bodyguard. I was thinking more like a manager.
Yeah, that's what Camille is to her, is her bodyguard down there. But yeah, she needs a manager, and I hate to say this, but in pro wrestling, the art of the manager has like disappeared, and I don't know if you will ever really get back to that, because once Paul Heyman says I'm done, there's no one behind him to take the reins for him.
Well, look, I'm from that time when I was a kid coming up, and you can appreciate this. I remember Jimmy Hart.
Yep.
I remember guys like the Grand Wizard of Wrestling and Freddie Blassie. And,
yep.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like Captain Lou Albano, Captain Lou. So I remember great managers. Yeah, and you're right. It's a dying breed for whatever reason, and yet Heyman stands alone. not just because he's the only one out there like that. He's the GOAT though. On the Paul Heyman on the microphone, and he can spit as well as your top rappers, right? Like he can just spit from his dome. That's how gifted Paul Heyman is.
Yep.
And I think that you're right. It's a lost art. Now look, everybody wasn't great at it. I remember the guy back in the day in WWE. I think his name was Slick.
Yeah, I'm Slick. Yep.
And I know Vince was really into stereotypes back then. So Slick always sounded to me like a drunk pimp. He didn't really sound like on the mic. He did. He sounded like a drunk pimp. It just didn't sound right. I don't know. Maybe I can go a step further. An illiterate drunk pimp.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. And I'm wondering the same way they have a school for wrestling, you might want to have a little side school for guys who aren't going to be in-ring talents, but maybe like managers, right?
Right.
Gifted on the mic. Why not do that? Because that does add to the storyline. Maybe your guy is a great manager on the mic away from being a star, right? There's a lot of guys in WWE right now and AEW, they can't cut promos. They're not good at it. They try and they're just not gifted at it. Guess what? Get you somebody that can walk out there and do it with that confidence and be like, my name is Paul Heyman.
There you go.
And instantly the crowd reacts to Heyman.
There you go.
And meanwhile, Brock Lesnar just stands there and it works.
Yep. I think, man, there was so many. Jim Cornette, say what you want about Jim Cornette, but he was fantastic with the Midnight Express, both versions of the Midnight Express. Sherry Martel, rest in peace. She was fantastic. Yeah, so many Classy Freddie Blassie, so many good ones.
He called everybody pencil neck geek.
Yep.
Everybody was a pencil neck geek. I remember that about him. Teddy Long wasn't bad.
He wasn't bad either.
Teddy, you know what I remember about Jim Cornette? He was gifted on the mic, and he always had that tennis racket.
Yep. I already talked about his mama too.
Yeah. Look,
I always talked about his mama too.
Yeah. I miss those days. I love where wrestling's at now, but I think that that's a good point you bring up. I think that's a void. I think you could change storylines if you had a manager that was gifted on the mic and who had a big personality. It could change a lot of wrestlers' storylines. Not everybody has natural heat. Like you look at the Judgment Day, a good example is Dominic Mysterio really hasn't won major titles, and more times than not he loses, but he's got so much heat behind him that he doesn't need a manager. The crowd hates Dom. I mean, they hate it. For sure. Right, Will, they hate him to the point where after the arena's emptied out, they're looking for Dom like that. They really, but that's my point. He's one of those people. He doesn't need an advocate. But you turn around and you look at a guy like Damian Priest. Priest is okay, but I don't think he's really good on the mic.
No, he's boring on the mic.
Yeah,
I say the same thing about Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre is just boring. Period. He's just a big, powerful dude. I think he's boring. Period. But let me ask you this real quick. Let me get the elephant in the room out the way because you brought up Dom. Rhea or Liv?
Are you asking me?
Rhea or Liv?
As wrestlers? No, I'm not.
As wrestlers. We'll go that route. As wrestlers.
I'm just saying because you just said it like, well, who'd you rather be? Dude, I'm married. I'm chill. I'm cool. I mean, they're both cool.
My only issue that's always been there with Liv Morgan for me, and I didn't really see her getting better until after they put the belt on her, because I thought she was just a cute girl and everything like that, but I didn't think she was really good in the ring. But now you're seeing she's much improved, better than what she was. Rhea's just amazing. They're supposed to be going at it in a couple weeks with Dom hanging from a cell, hanging from the ceiling, I think, in that particular match. So yeah, I'm just shocked of Liv Morgan's overall improvement. And she's been improving even on the mic. She's gotten better as a performer. So yeah, to see those two go at it one more time, I ain't got no problem with it.
No, I like it. I think you make a great point. I think Liv Morgan has come a mile in
She has.
terms of what she does in the ring and what she does on the microphone. I think she's found her lane now as a heel, right?
Yep.
She's found her lane. And we talk about this. Rhea is such a huge star. She's going to be a huge star whether the belt's around her waist. Matter of fact, without the belt around her waist, she's still the biggest woman star.
Yes, she is.
That's when you know you got it, that you don't need the belt. Liv needed the belt. It elevated Liv, and I think she's done a lot with it. Look, at some point, their feud is going to end. I don't think it ends at the next pay-per-view. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be shocked if Rhea beats Liv from pillar to post, but Liv ends up winning.
Right. And I think, real quick. Hey man, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, what's up?
My issue, and again, yeah, they could go at it. They can try to drag this thing out. Particularly with Charlotte still in recovery from her injury.
Yeah.
I can't wait till she gets back. Let's see what she can do. Put her name in the fray. We also got Becky, who may be coming back. Just became a new mom yet again. So congrats to her. So to see Charlotte and Becky maybe on the comeback, and you throw them into the picture, yeah, that women's division is going to be really, really, really be popular in WWE. Because right now, AEW has a terrific women's division. TNA with Jordan Grace has a terrific women's division over there.
A lot of people don't know that about TNA. They sleep on it, but I watch it.
Yeah, TNA is nice. It's nice over there. Jordan Grace is doing her thing. The women over in NXT, Roxanne Perez, some people like her, some people don't. But she's doing her thing there too. So yeah, the women division, and really all three major companies, it's getting so much better than what it used to be. Because you can go back maybe 3 years ago, and the women's division in those three companies wasn't what it is now.
No, I agree. It's funny because I'm thinking of Liv Morgan. I'm thinking of the fact that when Charlotte get back, things are going to get interesting. But I'm also looking at Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill. You know what? A dream matchup for me would be a tag team matchup between with Jade Cargill, Belair versus Rhea Ripley and Liv. I'd like to see something like that
for the tag titles.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. That would be now. Obviously, a lot would have to happen for that to come together because right now they're beating the hell out of each other. But a person like Charlotte's so she's like her dad, right? She's so elevated. It's beneath Charlotte to be fighting for a tag team championship. That's not how Charlotte gets down.
Nah,
she's all or nothing, right? I'm either the women's champ or I'm just carrying heat with no belt. And I think like her dad, she'll be champion again at some point.
I think so too. Once she recovers fully and gets in a good storyline.
Yeah, look, you brought up something about the women's division. One of my favorite wrestlers, and a lot of people they sleep on her. One of my favorite wrestlers is Io Sky.
Ooh, love Io.
She's
Oscar too. Shout out to Oscar.
Yeah, both. But she's a beast.
She is.
When she beat Bianca Belair clean a couple of weeks ago, nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that. Because you very rarely pin Bianca Belair with a clean pin. But she did it with a wrestling move. She just out wrestled her. She hustled her.
Yep.
You're right. The women's division, you could argue, they have more talent than the men. They have more heat than the men because what do we have? We got Roman, we got Cody, CM Punk's there, obviously. I don't know if they have as much heat overall in the men's division. You got Seth Rollins, but who's the new guy on the scene that's going to step in and make a name for himself in the men's division? Because I guess we thought it was Breaker. I know a lot of people love what's the guy. By the way, I cannot stand this guy. I cannot stand LA Knight. I can't.
Why not?
I can't stand this dude. I know he's got a lot of fans, but his bit is so corny. It's so bad. It's so bad. It looked like they took Stone Cold Steve Austin and meshed him together with the Macho Man, and you got that guy.
Oh my goodness. All right. We got 15 minutes left in the show. We're gonna go ahead and finish up with a little NFL fact or fiction, Mo.
Love it.
And I got 7 things that we can run down. Then we'll go ahead and close things out. Number 7, the Vikings are the best team in the NFC. Fact or fiction?
I'll say fiction. No, I think they're really good, and obviously their record is better than we probably thought it was going to be initially.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm gonna need to see a little bit more before I say they're the best team in the NFC. Like, ask me this question again when we're at week 8, what their record is.
Right. You won't see it done over succession. I got you.
Yeah.
Next up, fact or fiction? Something is amiss with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense.
I think fiction. I think it's fiction because I think we forget that last season they didn't have an explosive offense, and all they did was win the Super Bowl without an explosive offense. And I do think that he's trying to develop some chemistry with some of these younger receivers to go along with Rashee Rice. So in developing chemistry, it takes some time. And also remember, their number 1 running back is not in the picture.
True.
So they're kind of doing things differently. I think when you look at Kelsey, yes, he's showing signs of age, but Kelsey still gets enough respect to where he's being doubled. He's being manhandled at the line of scrimmage. So I think this is a team that's finding a way to win, Will, and they're not playing their best football yet.
Right. Man, it's in the best form. Another one, number 5. The NFC North is the NFL's best division. Fact or fiction?
I think that's fact.
Yeah.
I think that's fact. Unfortunately, now because they're so good, they're going to beat up on each other, and there's going to be there'll be 2 teams with really good records coming out of the division, and the other ones look a little mediocre, but they're not mediocre. That is a tough division. Granted, with that said, the NFL genius brought this up long before the season. He said Cincinnati was going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be that good, and he's been spot on.
He's been spot on.
And if they lose this coming week, I do think you start going, who can they trade? Because now you got to start making moves for the future.
Right.
And they brought up a really good point. You're not going to sign both of those wide receivers to lucrative contracts. So in a perfect world, the one that you can get something from would be T. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm a team and you're trying to talk conversation to me, I'm like, I ain't looking at him. I'm looking at the other guy. That's what I want. I want since you guys are having a fire sale, I want Chase.
Right.
So exactly. I do think if they lose, and because you at some point the way the NFL is, it's unlike any other league, MLB or the NBA. You get into that hole where you're 1-4 or 0-4. You don't usually recover from that.
Agreed. Number 4, the Steelers are the most dangerous team in the NFL. Fact or fiction?
I think that's fiction, man. Come on. I think they've found a way to win football games. I think Justin Fields, especially these last 2 games, has given them really capable quarterback play. Can he sustain that over the greater, another 8, 9, 10 weeks? They're not even to the meat of their schedule yet. Right. So I feel about them the way I feel about the Vikings. Ask me that in week 9 if they're where their record is, and then we can have that conversation. But I don't think they have good enough quarterback play to be the most dangerous team in the National Football League.
Yeah. I got to see a little bit more from Justin Fields, and I also need to see Pittsburgh really start calling, because I get why you're running the football, playing defense. I get it. But at the same point, the NFL is a passing league now. And you have you got George Pickens right there. Tied third receiver, should be getting the ball a little bit more than what he does. I know Jalen Warren's been hurt. Hopefully he can come back and start getting into the mix, catching the football out the backfield. But yeah, I'm gonna need this. I'm gonna need them to kind of open that playbook up a little bit. But we all know Arthur Smith, he ain't gonna do it.
No, the offense that they're running right now looks a lot like the offense they ran last year. And their offense basically is they don't play to lose, or they play not to lose, right? Mm-hmm. They don't throw the ball downfield very often. They dink and dunk. Look, it is a brand of winning football, but when you play and you consistently play that style, your margin for error is slim. Let's say the defense has an off week, and you don't score in a couple of drives, before you know it, you're down 17 or 20 to nothing. They're not built to walk anybody down.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
That with that offense and the way they play, they're not built to walk you down. If you get up on them, game over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How you doing, my friend, on the YouTube channel? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here. All right. And you just talked about them. The Cincinnati Bengals are the most disappointing team, most disappointing 3-0-3 team. Fact or fiction?
I think that's a fact. I was gonna say the most disappointing team is my Niners, but yeah, look, I'm just saying. But yeah, 0-3 team. Although again, I thought they would be better. I didn't think they'd be undefeated, but I thought they would be better, even though they've lost so many people on both sides of the football. That's why they call Gene the NFL genius. He saw this before we saw it.
He saw the downfall coming.
Yep.
He saw it coming. Let me see, what else do I have here? Oh, I actually skipped one. Jalen Daniels is the 2024 version of CJ Stroud in 2023. Fact or fiction?
I think that's fiction. They're different. They're different quarterbacks. First of all, Stroud, he can move a little bit, but he's actually a pocket passer. That's what he is. Yes. He's a stand in the pocket passer. Whereas I think that Jaden Daniels uses his legs a lot more. I think Jaden Daniels is closer to being a better version of RG3.
And from the standpoint of fantasy, I was looking at Jaden Daniels over CJ Stroud if I could, because of that ability that he was able to go ahead and give you rushing yards, running the football. When things broke down, he'll be able to get those tough rushing yards and help you out. I think CJ Stroud is capable of it too, but it's not his game. It's not his game.
It's not. And let me ask you this about the Texans. So they're 2-1, but if you looked at their first 3 games, they could be 0-3.
They could be.
They could be 0-3. Like the offense has shown some signs, but they haven't been consistent. And I know everybody got really excited, Will, after week 1. I think when Joe Mixon ran for like $150, and I'm like, Joe Mixon's a good running back. He's not Adrian Peterson.
No.
Don't get caught up in the idea that Joe Mixon is a 1,400 yard running back. He's never been that. He's a 1,000-yard, maybe an 1,100-yard back at best. He's not a dominant running back.
No.
But yeah, I think their offense has stalled a little bit, and defensively, I'm sure Coach DeMarco. I think the first thing he's going to look at is we're not stopping a run, and on play action, we're getting eaten alive in the secondary. So I'm wondering if they're going to be able to right the ship defensively, because your offense is going to struggle from time to time. But if their defense keeps playing the way it's playing, I predicted them to win their division. And by the way, even with a bad defense, they're going to win their division. I'm just saying. But the question should be, are they legitimate threats to be in the AFC title game? I don't think so.
I don't think they are either.
I don't think so. I don't think they're ready yet.
I don't think they are either. I mean, when you win your division by process of elimination, yeah, you're not that team. At least not yet. At least not yet.
Right, because look at their division: Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence, right, and I believe Will Levis, right? And isn't that the division in a nutshell? Like,
yep. I'm gonna need Trevor Lawrence to get to that point, because everybody looks at him and like he was the second coming because of his talent. I'm gonna need you to do something. I'm gonna need you to get off the snide and start playing some winning football.
No, I'm with you. I do think though that, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure his receiving core, they're pretty high up there in drops. He hasn't played his best football, but his playmakers, they're not helping him out. They're not making plays. I will say this: Trevor Lawrence came out so highly touted. What did they talk about, Will? His size, his arm strength,
second generation,
right? His ability to run, because he was mobile. He can run. He could run it. He had wheels. They were talking about him like he was going to be Aaron Rodgers 2.0.
No, sir.
And in the bigger picture, he hasn't been that.
And I don't understand some of these moves that, man, you got Christian Kirk. His best receiver is his tight end, Evan Ingram.
Right. And he's been out. He's
been hurt.
So that's true. That's your safety valve. And Evan Ingram is actually he's more of a vertical tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe when he gets back, that'll open up the middle of the field for the wide receivers to operate because he can take people vertically.
Right.
The weird thing about Trevor Lawrence is nobody can say he's played bad. He's not bad. He just hasn't been spectacular, right?
Mm-mm.
Like he's supposed to be up there being talked about with Stroud's been in the league less time, and people already have Stroud over him, right?
Yep.
But we're supposed to be talking about him in that upper echelon of quarterbacks, and we never do.
Nope, we sure don't. Got to get better, particularly with that contract that you just signed. Look here, the bigger the contract, the more expectations that's placed upon you.
That's fair.
He really needs to start living up to that contract, plain and simple. Last fact or fiction. Let me get your opinion on this. Right now, Josh Allen's the best player in the NFL. Fact or fiction?
I think that's fact right now.
Yeah.
I think that's fact. Can he continue to do what he's doing now because everybody's highlighting, well, he doesn't have to focus on any one guy. He's spreading the ball around. Yeah, I get it, but he's spreading the ball around because you don't have one guy that can really dominate a one-on-one matchup. So you kind of have to spread the ball around. I'm just wondering if that's something that's going to hurt them. Let's just say Buffalo goes to the regular season, they win 11, 12 games. Okay, and then you get to the postseason and you're playing against the best of the best, and they lock down a good receiving, but not an elite receiving core. Then what do? Right? It goes back to being old Josh Allen to where he's running for like 90 yards and trying to truck the wrong linebacker and he gets lit up. I could be wrong, but to answer your question, yeah, it's fact. He is the best player in the NFL right now. Is he going to be the best player in the NFL week 13, 14?
We got to see.
First of all, let's just hope he makes it to week 13, 14.
Yeah.
Because his playing style, he sets himself up to get harmed because I know he's got a big body, but you keep trying to be a quarterback that takes on linebackers all the time. Sooner or later, you're gonna take on the wrong one, and you're gonna be on the sideline.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, I want to thank everybody for coming on, checking us out. The morning show right here on Wire to Wire Sports. I want to thank everybody for coming through to the live stream. We appreciate you guys. Mo, go ahead and take us out, man.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Hopefully, Will will be back if Chris can't fill in. My partner in crime is dealing with some situations with the family, so we wish Chris and his family nothing but the best.
Yes.
Check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, guys, we appreciate you.
All right, that's going to do it for us here. Coffee and Sports in the morning. We'll see you again on Monday morning, bright and early. Everyone have a great day. Have a safe day, and take care.